What is Yan Lecun going to work on next? And what's missing?
Okay, now what I'm arguing for is you can't do this for video, because if you tokenize video, there's still going to be a lot of things that are just not predictable. Details like, like how what everyone looks like here, that you just cannot predict. So the idea of JEPA is you take your video, but you encode it into a representation space where a lot of details are eliminated. And then this autoregressive prediction that we were previously doing in input space, now you're doing it in this representation space. Now the trick is, and the reason why it didn't pop up earlier, is that to train the encoder and the predictor simultaneously is very tricky. The reason being that it's very easy for the predictor to basically force the encoder to not do anything, to ignore the input and produce a constant output representation. Another prediction problem becomes trivial, right? But it's not a good solution. And so you have to find ways to trick the system into carrying as much information about the input as possible in the representation, but at the same time, eliminating some of the details that are not predictable, right? So the system finds a trade-off between carrying as much information as possible about the input, but only the stuff that it can predict. And that's the basic concept of JEPA.
When you have a representation space, that is also called a latent space. And the hope and dream of this is that the latent space will be like a meaningful thought space about reality. And as he said, it's very hard to do. This is something he and many other people have published almost 1,000 papers on. So this is probably what he's going to work on now that he has left Meta. One thing it's missing is in that latent world model space, there should be symbolic representation, the kind of symbolic representation that parsimony can provide. P7y.ai. If this is interesting to you, reach out to me.